Hi, everybody. My name is Tony Heil with ALS United Mid-Atlantic, and this is our ALS United Mid-Atlantic Goals podcast. If you've listened in the past, and I hope you have, you know that we have covered a wide variety of perspectives about ALS, from people living with the disease to caregivers, researchers, advocates, and everyone else that has some sort of connection to ALS. One of the most important people that are involved with the ALS cause are our caregiving staff, and especially our nurses and social workers. A few weeks ago, we talked with one of our nurses, Gail Hausman, and we've spoken with our social workers like Ann Cooney and Melissa Call. Today, I'm really excited to talk with my friend Maureen Reid. She's been a nurse here at ALS United Mid-Atlantic for many years. She has her own personal connection, and we're posting this during Nurses Week in 2025 because nurses are the ones that make a hospital run, that make a health center run of any kind. If you watch ER or The Pit, you'll hear about how important nurses are. Maybe you go to see the doctor, but the person doing most of the work is the nurse. And that's no shade to the doctors, but we know how important they are towards ALS care. And we know how important Maureen Reid is. Maureen Reid, again, has been with us for many years here at ALS United Mid-Atlantic. She's going to share her perspectives, her history, and hopefully encourage you to be involved in the fight against ALS. So, Maureen, thanks for talking today.
Thank you so much, Tony, for inviting me. It's quite an honor. As always, I can never say no to you and any of your requests.
Thankfully, my requests are just to do a podcast or maybe go to Harrisburg or something like that. So our requests are pretty minor, but everything adds up.
Yeah, it sure does.
So you started as a staff member here with ALS United Mid-Atlantic around the time I did, in terms of technically you've been around for about, 16 years now?
Me, about 14. You came a little bit before I did.
But even though you started just after I did, you've been involved for much longer, right?
Oh
Because
my gosh,
ALS touched
yes.
your life many years ago.
Yes, yes. Back in 1998, December of 1998, my late husband, Richard Kelly, was diagnosed with ALS. And I became affiliated with all the support from ALS chapter and fundraising, became involved in fundraising right away and never stopped. And then the life changes and, you know, Rich passed away, lost his battle with ALS in 2003, and I promised him that I will never give up, that I will continue the fight, and I will, you know, help in any way I could to go towards a cure, which is fundraising is really important to find the cure. Um, and I did that, and I'm still going to do it. It became an actual gift that I was able to take a position as a nurse care manager. Sue Walsh, my predecessor, my previous boss, who was our nurse care manager through Rich's illness. She's the one who hired me 14 years ago. And I remember when we were talking about, my experience, and I'm like, I believe I'm fellowship qualified for this. And Dr. Simmons, who we'll talk about, also agreed. So it's been a great honor.
And so you have been with us as a nurse for 14 or so years, but how long have you been a nurse? What got you into nursing itself?
Oh, I was a candy striper back in the day, and I know when I was a candy striper, I wanted to be a nurse. So I graduated from Marywood University, well, previously known as Marywood College, in 1987. And I started being a nurse then. But I worked prior to that as a nurse's aide because, my God, do nurses' aides work hard? And I thought, I have to work as hard as I possibly could to just be prepared for what's coming, in my career. So I thought that was a great experience.
And when you're a nurse, or going through nursing school, you do have to be prepared for basically anything, right? Like I think if you are not in healthcare, it's really hard to appreciate all the things that you might have to learn medically, or about how you listen to and take care of a patient. Like you could, like right now, maybe not right this second, but you can jump into a lot of serious situations and either know how to help or know who to ask for help, right?
So that's a good point. But so we do learn a lot when we're in college or what type of nursing school you go to, but it's really experience. Once you get into the trenches, you learn something new every day. Let me tell you,
Mm-hmm.
every day you learn something new, and you have to be a good listener, and want to be a problem solver, and that's really key. So, I look back at my experience as being a nurse's aide in nursing homes. The compassion that you develop or you have inside of you, and it comes out just caring for the elderly and the disabled. That served me well.
Yeah.
And then listening to them, but also life experiences. You bring everything that you have to be the best nurse you can possibly be. I was a bartender. Talk about being a listener. And listening to everybody's problems. I mean, that served me well.
Yeah.
um, so in talking to all different walks of life, we just don't have you know one set of type of patients. You have patients come from, wealth. You have patients come from poverty. You have patients from all different types of religions and, lifestyles. So, it's really important to be able to adapt to that and give them what they need.
And being a good listener as a nurse is a quality that I think everyone could use in their lives.
Yes.
And again, I've been watching a lot of medical shows recently because I've been watching The Pit and on Max. Highly recommend it. And so went back to start watching ER because I didn't watch it when it was on. And you can see those conversations that I know you, Sue, the whole team there have had with people where you have to listen to sometimes two different points of view from a person living with ALS and a family member, or maybe multiple points of view where a person with ALS has one wish and someone else has another wish or concern. How do you as a nurse navigate those kind of personal family dynamics so you can respect everyone and help them get to the best result?
Oh, that's a really great question. So, uh, you have to remind them all, first was you present it to them like, okay, so we'll say Lucy's the patient. This is what Lucy wants. Then you hear from the caregiver. Well, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I could give her the care that she needs for the feeding tube. I don't think I could dress her. I don't want to be that. I want to be the daughter. Not everybody's a nurse. Not every, and that's okay, you know. Um, so we're like, okay, so let's figure this out then. You just want to be the daughter, then, um, but we are here to help Lucy get her wishes. So let's figure out how to, and we'll bring in our social worker, how to get somebody in the home to help care for her so that you could just be the daughter. That's an example. So,
And I imagine it's very important that people just be upfront and honest about uh, the challenges they have, whether they feel like they're up for something, because it's better to just confront those things from day one than to have it linger for 6 months or throughout the diagnosis, and then they regret that they didn't talk to someone like you.
Exactly, because what happens is it builds up inside of them,
Yeah.
and then it comes out in different ways. Like they become angry, they frustrated all the time, and their personality changes. And the hard part for us is we're just meeting these people at the worst time of their life. They were going along having a great life, and boom, their life just blew up. So we also to remind the caregivers, like, it's okay. It's okay for you to feel this way.
Yeah.
And then we'll offer them, we have support groups. Perhaps it would be helpful if you joined a support group so you could feel that you're not alone. And perhaps other people in the support group can give you some other tools to which deal with this. I mean, we all have to be in this together. It's a team approach. Like other families with ALS, they'll often say, if somebody wants to talk to me, have them call me. We have to help each other. It's a brutal disease.
So when you're diagnosed with ALS, or even if you are coming in for your first visit, because I know a lot of people come to Penn State Health Hershey Medical Center for their diagnosis, they can see a whole multidisciplinary team that includes you. What is special about the nursing in that center, in that kind of dynamic, than nursing in some other hospital or clinic setting? Because, when I go to my son's doctor, we see a nurse there. So, what is your role as a nurse at Hershey Medical Center?
I'm a nurse care manager.
Mm-hmm.
So we manage the care of the patient. But with an ALS patient, it's not just like, oh, you're coming in, what are your meds? Here's a shot, see ya. No, it's our patients come in on the average every 3 months. And multidisciplinary team consists of, you know, the nurses, which there are 4 of us who are outstanding. Um, the physician, the respiratory therapist. We have our social worker. We have our Dr. Allaire, who's a mental health provider. We have our speech therapist, Carrie, who's awesome, and Carol, a nutritionist, who's a rock star. Um, so it's a team approach. So what we do is, prior to the patient's appointment, we give them a call. How are you doing? What's changed? What should we, just so that we can have something that, that we'll be focusing on that's important to the patient. Now, that whatever it is that's important to the patient, we definitely address, but then we are often seeing things that need to be addressed that the patient's not even aware of. That they need a power chair, and they're more worried about their let's see, let me think what I talked to somebody about the other day. They're more concerned about their swallowing,
Mm-hmm.
but something like that. So I'm like, okay, so Marianne, I need you to give them a list of uh, services that are available to them through the VA, or address issues for in-home care, or they need a handicap placard. Okay. I know for PT and OT, the patient will need a power wheelchair eval. So, and then Dr. Allaire, the patients, per our preclinic visit, they're really having an issue with their mood. Their antidepressant will probably need to be increased. So we think they're examples.
Mm-hmm.
So we manage the care of the patient. We then, after our clinic, so we guide them into the care team into the rooms, make sure that everybody's seen the patient, and then afterwards, and along with the doctor. And this is all collaborating with the doctor as well. And the respiratory therapist. Oh, this patient, not only do we want them to have the breathing done erect, but they're having some issues when they're sleeping. Can you test them while they're in the supine position? So these are things that, you know, you just learn as you go along, and you become smarter, and you listen to the patient. Like if the patient said, oh, if we didn't ask them about their sleeping, I don't know if they would have told us.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to go through this whole list of an assessment, um, which is very important. So then at the end of clinic, we have a team meeting, and we all talk about what we found and what we recommended for the patient. Okay, so physical therapists are like, okay, yes, place the power wheelchair eval. Respiratory therapist gave us the results of the breathing test. Oh, patient needs an assisted breathing device. So we, as the nurses, we take care of all of that. So the doctor signs the order, and then we contact the vendor. We send out the patient note. We send out the scripts. We get in touch with the vendor and say, okay, this patient, is nonverbal. So make sure you call the family member instead. Things like that. I mean, there's so much behind the scenes that we do. It's nonstop. And no, the pit doesn't show that. I mean, the pit.
It was pretty nonstop, Maureen. I watched it and I was
They
having a lot of
are, but
anxiety.
they're in a different level. They're on like
Right,
the
but
next
that's
work, but our work is equally as important.
and what's interesting about that on those shows is like they had a big event and then they're like, okay, that's done. Like they're out of our hands. And you are there to take care of the family, not on clinic day only, but you're there throughout their entire diagnosis and even
Exactly.
afterwards. I know a lot of folks, I think one of the biggest testaments to your work and Dr. Simmons and the whole team are how many people went through this traumatic experience of ALS and they come back to volunteer to join the ALS United Walk. I talked to Lisa, our friend, and she said, "Oh, tell Maureen we said hi." Like you leave an impact on people at the hardest time of their life, and they want to come back. That's a great testament to you.
Well, great testament to the whole team. But thank you.
Well, I meant the bigger
And
you, but yes, you as well. But Shannon and Sue and everyone else. And speaking of Sue, she helped start this clinic with Dr. Simmons back in the mid '90s. Sue Walsh, kind of, I would say, an icon in ALS care nationally. She might not tell herself that. And Dr. Simmons as well. Penn State Health Hershey Medical Center has become such a nationally recognized center. People come from out of state to go there. I know people that travel a few hours to go there versus some other places. What is it like for you and your patients to know that they're going to someplace with such credibility and such long support in the area?
I really feel like they feel like, oh, we're gonna be okay. We have this awesome team looking after us. They There's a sigh of relief because some of the horror stories you hear, we're grateful that we are the team that we are. And if it weren't for Dr. Simmons and Sue Walsh developing this team, I don't know what our patients would be doing. I don't know what we would have done um, when Rich was diagnosed in '98 because we felt so supported.
Mhm.
We
It does
really
feel like there's
did.
a culture from Dr. Simmons and Sue there, from other people here like Ellen Phillips, where
Ah,
when I'm in meetings now, like I went to an advocacy meeting for industry group a few weeks ago. So it was not ALS specific. And I asked a question. I said, "Oh, what are we doing about patient accessibility?" And no one else even thought about it. And it's like, well, I work with Ellen, and I know that's something I have to ask. Like, why didn't we ask about patients here? And that seems like we all have that culture here of that's what comes first.
absolutely. Patients first. I mean, we do. So our patients, so it's funny that you should mention this. Our patients that we'll get a lot of second opinions.
Mm-hmm.
We have a patient who attends University of Rochester, but um, they said to me, Maureen, but they don't have a U. like, like, okay, all right. You guys got way attached to me. But that's what was going on. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had to call up there. Now, we still took care of the patient and we're still taking care of them, but I'm going to have to figure out a way because they're across the state. They can't come into our state. So we could do the telehealth visit, but doctor won't get paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about money. It's just the mere fact it's just not we need to find a way that they could take care of it. And I will. I already made contact with somebody up there, but
Mm-hmm.
they just felt so connected and so cared for. And they came for, let's see, did they come for two visits? One was the second opinion visit, and then the next visit they came for. And then from then on, everything has been by phone call or by Zoom call with me. So, um, yeah, we're a pretty great clinic.
That longevity in ALS care is so impressive to me and to the legislators I meet with when we do advocacy, or to other donors and supporters. And you see that with Dr. Simmons. I recently, last year, finally met the doctor that took care of my grandfather 20 years ago, Dr. Lacomas at UPMC, and he's still doing ALS work and research. And I imagine that's just emotionally difficult. Dr. Simmons has probably diagnosed thousands of people with ALS in his 30 years time, right? So do you guys look out for each other as a team? Like, that you guys form these friendships with your families, and I'm sure hopefully you guys all take care of each other's mental health as well.
Yes. So um, last week was tough. I was in diagnostic clinic last week and with Dr. Simmons and our new hire, Aaron King, who is fabulous. Um, it was tough. We had a 29-year-old patient and he came by
Mm,
himself. And I was like, I mean, my kids are in their 30s. So I'm thinking like when they were 29, oh my gosh.
yeah,
So, I get him, you can't not get emotional. I mean,
yeah.
he's sobbing as he should have been. And, I'm hugging him and I'm like giving him his tissues and I'm just like, oh. But afterwards, Dr. Simmons is finished doing his thing and he's like looking over at me like, are you okay? And I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm appropriately like shattered for this kid, shattered for him.
Yeah.
But, Dr. Simmons, he gave him hope. He said, I think this is gonna be a slow progression. And, so then Dr. Simmons and I talked about similar like patients that we currently have that had similar symptoms to his this 29-year-old that started off like that. So I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, he's gonna live, hopefully he'll stay on the trajectory we think, and he'll be with us for a long time and we will help him through this.
Hmm.
But afterwards, like, our poor new hire was like, wow, I'm like, yep, that was tough. But you know what? We lightened up the appointment. We were laughing about things. I'm like, I'm not letting you leave until you laugh. Now listen. So it's
Because
hard. It's hard.
yeah, today, as we record this, not when I post it, is my wedding anniversary, and I got married when I was 29 years old. Like, my whole life feels like it was after that date. Like, that's, to me, like the dividing line of my life in a positive way. And I'm sure for that person, it feels that way in a different way. And to know, like, it meant a lot to me to know I had a partner in my life, and now he's got this partner with Hershey Medical Center and your team. That's something that, it's so validating to be here and to know that we're part of that.
Yes.
And speaking of making people smile and have the like positive things, because ALS is so challenging, you've been involved in so many events. The ALS United Walk in Hershey. You've come to advocacy. I remember, like maybe it was the first time I was in advocacy in DC, and of course you won a prize because Maureen Reid has that kind of luck where she wins things. So, what have been some of your favorite events to participate in wherever here with ALS United Mid-Atlantic?
Yeah. So I do love Advocacy Day, and I love the ones in Harrisburg, and I think I went twice to DC. I mean, so incredibly inspiring. These patients and their family members, traveling long distances to come to advocate for funding and support services. It was so impressive, impressive. There, I don't know. Anyway, that was extremely meaningful. But then one of my other favorites was I became part of when I was hired. I'm like, you know what? We need to develop a team of former caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
So we started the advisory um, care committee group. So we were all former, and it is a combination of previous caregivers with support from the chapter. So actually, Jeff Klein was a big supporter of it back in the day. And Michelle Rogers now helps us with any activities we want to do. But we started our first holiday party in South Central area because I remember, they would have the parties, they would have everything down in Philly, which is great.
Yeah,
But
especially if it's right by my house, which is very
I
helpful.
know. But guess what? Hershey is my home.
Yeah.
So we had so many people in the area that were like, "Oh, we'd love to go to it, but it's all the way down in Philly." So we started our first holiday party, and the first party was in the basement of a local church, and I, I was just so proud of our committee team for making it all happen, and so grateful to the chapter for giving us some support towards it. And now it has grown to, we now have it in a hotel conference room. And it's fantastic. And we have a DJ, and we have the food is catered, and I make our one patient, and they won't mind that I mentioned their name, Jen Warren. Jen Warren's husband, Dave, dress up and perform with us every
Hmm.
year. So it's grown in those 14 years. So that's one thing I really, it's one of my favorite events. Just watching it grow is just amazing.
The pictures are great, and then we all become friends or look forward to some of those things. And I know we see Jen and Dave. I just saw them at our Help and Hope event,
Yeah.
and which was really exciting. And speaking of that, Dr. Simmons spoke at our Help and Hope event. The video's on our YouTube page, so please subscribe and watch to see everything there. And I would regret not bringing up the fact that he is a national or an international leader in ALS research. You also have people like Dr. Grogan, Dr. Sue, Daniela Zarnescu, a great team of researchers there. And you have the experience as a nurse, as someone who's lived through ALS. What can you say about the great research happening at Penn State Health Hershey Medical Center, and how patients are kind of empowered to leave a legacy through research there?
Yes. It's I'll tell you, it's a dream come true because we didn't have this kind of research back when Rich was living with ALS, and it's just, I'm telling you, it's so impressive, and I always remind the patients of that. I'm like, listen, this it wasn't like this 10 years ago,
Yeah.
so there is so much hope. We are getting so much closer. but we had to continue the research. And the only way we're going to continue the research is by raising money and awareness.
Hmm.
And but our patients, some of our patients come to the clinic like, we're like, yeah, we're doing fine. We just want to talk to research. So that's another thing they have to listen to. What's
Hmm.
important to the patient. So when they say that, I'm like, okay, great. We'll like skim through everything quickly and get research in here because that's what's most important to them.
And I thought it was really neat hearing from Dr. Geronimo last year from Penn State
Mhm.
Health
I
Hershey
love
Medical
him.
Center. He is, I don't know if he's ever said a mean word to anybody. One of the nicest people in
So,
the world. But he also explained a lot of ways that people can participate in research from home, which
yes.
again you couldn't do 10 years ago.
Oh,
And so I'm imagine that's a lot of our folks who couldn't do research now can participate because of the leadership you have there.
absolutely. I mean, they are what a team. I'm so proud of them. I'm just so proud of our ALS center. I really am. And ALS United Mid-Atlantic. Best job I've ever had. Most meaningful job I ever had.
But we're glad you're here. But one last thing I have to ask about because it's coming up in a few weeks and it's something I know you always try to be at, you've done so many times, is our Hershey ALS United Walk. You can
Yes.
find it at our website, alsmidatlantic.org. I love attending this walk because usually it's a warm day as opposed to some of our other
Mhm.
walks like that I like too, but those are cold sometimes. But it's always usually a warm day. It's really happy atmosphere. So tell us about your experience at the Hershey ALS United Walk.
Okay, so I'm like, uh, it it has come so far. It really has. It has just grown in leaps and bounds. Um, I remember I was at the first walk that they had in central Pennsylvania, and it started off on um, Harrisburg City Island. And yeah, I don't think, yeah, you were probably in what, grade school?
I wish, but no, I was not that young. I wasn't here yet.
And
It wasn't there when I started here, but I'm not that young.
so our family, in Rich's honor, we started Kelly Crusader team. So every and we continued that, and for those 5 years, and I bring the team together, Kelly Crusader team together every 5 years. What since I've been hired with the chapter, so this walk on June the seventh, is it? Oh my gosh, I have to look at a calendar. Isn't that terrible? I should know it off the top of my head, but the dates escape me. Calendar, let's see. It's always the first Saturday in June. It is, yep, I was right. June 7th. This year, the registration is going to be at 11 a.m. as opposed to 9 a.m. and the walk will start at noon. Because I've been listening to the patients,
Hmm.
and a lot of them couldn't get there because it was so early. And it takes a lot of work to get our patients who are further along in their disease process to get ready and get to anywhere by 9 a.m. So we moved it and the time. So I'm so excited. I'm hoping that will bring more patients and their families out. It is such an inspiring event. I tell everybody about it. No, hey, listen, I was a caregiver. I was you once. The only thing that got me going was the walk. The walk made me feel like I was doing something, not just for ourselves, but for others and for the future. Like we have to think about everyone because nobody knows who's going to get ALS. And you know what? I don't want my grandchildren to have to go through this. I don't want my
Hmm.
grandchildren and their friends to have to go through this. I want this disease done. It was supposed to be done already.
Yeah.
So we need to keep up the fight. We
Yeah,
need to
since
keep raising money.
yeah, since you and I have both been here for 14 or so years, we both have met people who have joined us in some way or had an ALS diagnosis or know someone who has, and they said they had come to a walk years ago. So the walk may have been their first thing they did. And I've had so many great memories of the walks. One of my favorites was Dennis, his wife Allie, and Darla there when he had a
Oh,
race car. And I remember they had a huge team, and he was, I don't know where he
Gopher.
was, he was diagnosed.
Gopher.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he was walking with a cane, and he saw they had a party for him, and he threw his cane in the air. And I was like, oh, I wish I had that on video. It's like it's been 10 years or so since that happened, and I still remember like it was such a positive and uplifting day. And they'll always have that, what he's passed away, but they've been involved,
Yeah.
and that's something that they'll never forget because they bring their whole family. That might be the only time of the year that they get everyone together as a family with that person.
That's the only time of the year I get my entire family together. The nieces come up,
Mhm.
the great nephews come up, great nieces come up. Yeah. So I'm excited for this year's. Um, so one other thing that I was going to tell you that I'm trying to we were talking about seeing patients and the families again and all that. I had a conversation with the patient yesterday, and he's going to be transferring up here from um, El Paso, Texas. I took care of his mother.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's moving here. He was diagnosed 3 years ago. So he'll be moving here in July. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I was your mom's nurse, assigned nurse. So I went back into my notes, and then I was reading him some things that his mom had said, like that I had written in that were in quotes and stuff. He's like, oh my gosh, that was so her. I'm like, right? She was such a positive person. I'm like, but yeah, we didn't talk about familial ALS. That's a whole nother
It,
heart
it
wrenching.
5 to 10% of cases are considered familial, and
Yes.
you hope it's not in your family when you get that diagnosis. I know that's how I think in my family, and thankfully only one diagnosis at this point. Um, and I know we've had a number of our folks who we'll see at the walks who maybe you've only met one person in their family that had ALS, but you know that they have a longer connection from people outside of the state or from some other places, and it doesn't matter if their diagnosis is more moderate
Right.
or if they're 29 or if they're 79. We have Maureen and Shannon and Aaron and Alaire and Marianne and Annette and everyone, Dr. Sue, Dr. Grote, like the whole team at Penn State Hershey Medical Center, led by Dr. Simmons, that are there from day one. Maureen, thanks so much for joining today. I look forward to seeing you at those events soon and seeing you in person. I will see you at the walk, right?
Oh, you betcha, with my Kelly Crusader team.
Well, I can't wait to see you, Kelly Crusaders. I can't wait to see everyone at the ALS United Walk to find out about our events from the walk to the bike ride to advocacy to annual celebration, so many other things. Please visit our website, www.alsmidatlantic.org. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes and Spotify. Leave feedback, tell other people to watch it and listen to it. And make sure that you learn and get involved because, like Maureen, every little bit matters and we can make a big difference. So thanks, Maureen. I can't wait to see you again soon in person.
Thanks, Tony, so much. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on. Take care.